In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on March 12, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Charlotte Hornets versus Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are aiming to maintain their recent strong performance this Wednesday as they host the Charlotte Hornets at home. This game marks the third encounter between these Eastern Conference rivals this season, with the Hawks having secured victories in the previous 2 matchups. However, when looking at the last 10 games between these teams, Charlotte holds a 6-4 straight-up record and an even more impressive 8-2 record against the spread. Additionally, the over-under has landed on the over in 6 of those 10 games, indicating a trend toward higher scoring contests. Currently, the Hornets have no players listed on the injury report, which is a positive sign for their lineup. On the other hand, the Hawks are monitoring the status of Trae Young and Caris LeVert, both of whom are questionable for Wednesday's game. While the Hornets don't have much to play for at this stage of the season, they've shown some life recently, winning their last 2 games. The Hawks, despite being in good form over the past week, could find themselves shorthanded if key players are unable to suit up. This dynamic adds an element of uncertainty to the matchup, even though Atlanta is the clear favorite heading into the game. Statistically, the Hawks are the stronger team and should capitalize on opportunities like this, especially at home. However, they haven't been particularly reliable as heavy favorites. With a .500 record at home and a 31-34 against the spread record for the season, they've been inconsistent. Meanwhile, the Hornets, despite their struggles, have won 2 straight games and covered the spread in their last 3 outings. It's also worth noting that the underdog has covered the spread in 9 of the last 10 meetings between these teams, including the 2 tightly contested games earlier this season, which were decided by a combined 8 points. Odds makers may be overreacting to Charlotte's recent rough patch and their injury concerns, which don't seem to be improving. With Trae Young's status up in the air, the Hornets could have a real shot at keeping this game competitive. As our first pick for this matchup, the Charlotte Hornets to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. When it comes to scoring trends, the under has been a common outcome when the Hornets face Eastern Conference opponents, with a 27-14 record in such games. This trend is even more pronounced against Southeast Division rivals, where the under is 9-3. Charlotte's slow-paced style of play, ranking 24th in the league in tempo, contributes to these lower scoring games. Against an Atlanta team that's dealing with injuries and lacks the depth they had earlier in the season, the Hornets should be able to keep the score close. The Hawks have been inconsistent offensively, and after a stretch of high-scoring games, it wouldn't be surprising to see them struggle to meet their season average on Wednesday. Additionally, the under has hit in 6 of Charlotte's last 7 games, further supporting this trend. In their most recent meeting, these 2 teams combined for just 211 points, which is well below the projected total for this game. If Trae Young is sidelined or limited, Atlanta's offense could take a significant hit. Given these factors, the current total feels too high for this matchup. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Philadelphia 76ers versus Toronto Raptors. The Philadelphia 76ers are set to face off against the Toronto Raptors at Scotiabank Arena. This game marks the second meeting between these 2 NBA Atlantic Division rivals this season. In their previous encounters, the Raptors came out on top both times. However, looking at the last 10 matchups, the 76ers have a stronger overall record, winning 7 of those games straight up and covering the spread in 6. The over has hit in 6 of those 10 games as well. The 76ers will once again be without Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, while Kelly Oubre Jr. and Kyle Lowry are both listed as questionable. On the other side, the Raptors are dealing with significant absences, as Emmanuel Quickley and R.J. Barrett will both miss this game. Philadelphia's struggles are evident, sitting 20 games below a .500 record and holding a 23-41 record against the spread this season. Injuries have only added to their woes. Meanwhile, the Raptors have been more reliable, boasting a 38-26-1 against the spread record record this year, with 15 of their 22 wins coming at home. They've also dominated the 76ers this season, going 2-0 both straight up and against the spread. Given how poorly the 76ers have performed, you could argue the Raptors should be even heavier favorites in this matchup. Philadelphia has been a team to bet against all season, and that trend doesn't seem likely to change here. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both teams have shown some offensive firepower recently, but the 76ers continue to struggle defensively, giving up points at an alarming rate. Toronto has scored 110 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. For the season, they've hit the over in 33 of 65 games, with a 20-15 over record at home. The 76ers, on the other hand, have gone over the total in each of their last 4 games. They've been a strong over team this year, with a 35-26-3 record overall and an 18-11-2 mark on the road. Both teams have also been playing at a fast pace lately. Over their last 3 games, the 76ers are averaging 104.9 possessions per game, ranking 6th in the NBA, while the Raptors are close behind at 104.8 possessions. The over has been a solid bet in Philadelphia's road games, hitting an 18 of 31 contest, and in Toronto's home games, where it's 20-15. Additionally, the over is 25-16 in games following a 76ers loss and 22-15-1 when Philadelphia is the underdog. In their last 10 games, the over has hit 7 times for the 76ers, including 4 straight. The totals in those games range from 217.5 to 231.5. Both teams rank in the bottom 10 in the NBA in defensive rating, and Toronto has the longest average defensive possession length in the league. With neither team playing for much more than pride at this point, expect a loose, fast-paced game with plenty of scoring. Reserves who don't usually see much action will likely get more minutes and could contribute to a higher scoring game than expected. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Boston Celtics. The Oklahoma City Thunder are heading to Boston to face off against the defending NBA champions, the Celtics. The Thunder currently hold the top spot in the Western Conference and are aiming to advance past the second round of the playoffs to make a serious push for an NBA title. On the other side, the Celtics are the second seed in the Eastern Conference and are widely considered one of the top contenders to represent the East in the NBA Finals. This matchup promises to be a high-stakes battle between 2 of the league's elite teams. The Thunder will be slightly shorthanded for this game, as Jalen Williams remains sidelined due to injury. Meanwhile, the Celtics are keeping a close watch on the status of Kristaps Porzingis and Jason Tatum, both of whom are listed as questionable for the game. These potential absences could play a significant role in how the game unfolds, as both players are key contributors to their respective teams. For only the 3rd time this season, the Thunder will enter Wednesday night's game as underdogs, this time against the formidable Celtics at TD Garden. While the point spread is relatively small, it could serve as extra motivation for Oklahoma City, a team that has often been overlooked by analysts despite their impressive performance this season. The Thunder are coming off a loss to the Denver Nuggets in their last outing, which split their 2-game series against Nikola Jokic and company. More concerning, however, is the absence of Jalen Williams, who suffered a hip injury and will miss Wednesday's game. Losing their second leading scorer, who averages 20 points per game, could prove costly against a Celtics team that is known for its explosive offense. Boston has been in strong form recently, securing a 114-108 victory over the Utah Jazz in their last game. In that matchup, the Celtics opted to rest a few key players to ensure they were fully prepared for this clash with the Thunder. Additionally, the revenge factor could come into play here. In their first meeting back in January, the Celtics had one of their worst offensive performances of the season, losing 105-92 while shooting just 19% from beyond the arc. It's safe to say that such a poor shooting night is unlikely to repeat itself, especially considering the Celtics are averaging 18.2 made threes per game at home this season. While the two teams are fairly evenly matched on paper, the absence of Jalen Williams could tip the scales in Boston's favor. Although the Thunder are 4-0 in games without Williams this season, none of those wins came against a team as strong as the Celtics. Boston, meanwhile, has won 5 straight games and boasts a 7-1 record in their last 8 home games. They've also defeated 6 of their last 7 opponents from the Western Conference. This game presents an opportunity for the Celtics to make a statement with a decisive victory. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boston Celtics to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Thunder have shown some defensive vulnerabilities in recent games. They've allowed the total score to go over the projected number in 7 of their last 10 outings, including a game where they gave up 140 points to the Nuggets. Offensively, both teams are among the league's best, with the Celtics ranking 6th in scoring and the Thunder ranking 4th. Boston leads the NBA in three-pointers made per game, while Oklahoma City sits 6th in that category. Historically, the total score has gone over in 8 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams. The Thunder rank 4th in offensive efficiency, and the Celtics are 3rd, setting the stage for a fast-paced, high-scoring game with plenty of offensive fireworks. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Dallas Mavericks versus San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs are set to face the Dallas Mavericks once again, this time on their home court, just 3 days after their last matchup. On Monday, the Mavericks came out on top with a 133-129 victory, extending their winning streak against the Spurs to 7 games, a streak that dates back to the beginning of the 2023-2024 season. The Mavericks continue to deal with a significant number of injuries, sidelining key players like Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Daniel Gafford. Meanwhile, the Spurs are keeping a close watch on Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sochan, both of whom are currently listed as questionable for the upcoming game. The Mavericks have understandably struggled with their growing injury list, but they managed to secure a crucial win against the Spurs in their last encounter. Beating the same team twice in a row is always a challenge, and while the Spurs put up a strong fight on Monday, they might be without 2 more role players this time around. This makes it hard to consider them the favorites in this matchup. The betting line for this game raises some eyebrows. On paper, the Spurs appear to be the healthier team and have the home court advantage, but they just lost to the Mavericks a couple of days ago as 6.5-point favorites. Despite the Mavericks' injury woes, the Spurs have been in a downward spiral for over a month, with a record of 2-8 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. Adding to that, the Mavericks have won 7 consecutive games against the Spurs, who haven't secured a victory against Dallas since April 2023. While I'm not eager to back the Mavericks, I'm also not comfortable laying this many points with the Spurs given their current form. As our first pick for this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. When it comes to defense, these two teams have been the worst in the NBA by a wide margin in March. The Mavericks rank 29th, allowing 127 points per 100 possessions, while the Spurs are dead last at 30th, giving up 132 points per 100 possessions. With the Mavericks playing at a steady pace and the Spurs leading the NBA in offensive rating this month, there should be plenty of scoring opportunities for both sides. Given the short turnaround between games and the limited availability of players due to injuries, especially on the Mavericks side, expect a lot of open three-pointers and easy baskets. The over has hit in each of the Spurs' last 6 games, including Monday's matchup, which finished 29 points above the per-game total of 233.5 points. The Spurs have scored over 120 points in 5 of their last 6 games, and the Mavericks have allowed at least 122 points in each of their last 6 outings. If this game is even half as competitive as Monday's meeting, it's reasonable to expect the over to hit once again. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.